pastor, mentor, and romantic life mate. Pedro, and I'm going to use some Pedro quotes here. He's like, "Don't deny we have a bromance, bro." That's how Pedro would say it. So, I met Pedro about sometime late into grade school, middle school, through his sister who's here, Elisa. And talking to his sister last night and me being bad with dates, I narrowed down the year to about 93, 94, so we became friends. We weren't the best of friends to start, actually. It took some time. He was a bit of a handful, bit of a rowdy guy. I was too nice and too meek. He had piercings on his eyebrow and his nose, and he had hair up to here, and really horrible dreadlocks sometimes. But underneath it all, he was a good person who just needed to be loved. And we had a short falling out period, about a year, where I didn't know where he went. I had not heard of him. So in that time, he ditched playing music, and he took on odd jobs in sales, and he found the Lord through his first mentor and friend, Frank Valella, after attending one of the seminars, and after some back and forth between the two of them. He poured his life into this and was forever changed, deciding to pursue the ministry as his calling, with Frank being his spiritual dad. A lot of our current mutual friends here never got to see the old Pedro, and only know the man that he'd eventually become. And I unfortunately had to carry the burden of being the guy that every Pedro story. Fred, you were there. One thing to know about him for sure, he was an embodiment of a man's man. Masculine, confident, physically strong, tough, while being able to admit his shortcomings to his inner circle. He was into weights, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, CrossFit. Is Albert Piasek here? He's not. His last name? So he was into CrossFit, and he would normally say, "I'm Albert's confusion." And I was like, "Albert's confusion?" Because his trainer's like, "Pedro, you show up with a broken leg and a busted ankle, and you still cross out. I don't know what's going on with you." He always toughed it out. That was something. There's a small window into Pedro. He never stopped working, and he never got the rest he needed for himself. Pedro was with me in the trenches, as he was with a lot of us. He fought with us and for us, even when we didn't want to sometimes. When I reached a crossroads in my life where I was jobless, adrift in life with little purpose, he gave me the right words and the swift kick in behind I needed to readjust my priorities, as any good older brother would. He'd have the right advice even if it hurt or it was not particularly flattering to hear. So that's a pro tip for anyone younger than 30. It's a good sign of a teacher and a mentor. I've been witness to countless acts and deeds. I'll try to be fast. I've been witness to countless acts and deeds he's done for others. So if someone needed money, he'd give you his last $20, sometimes literally, expecting God to bless him for it, and he would be. He was a man of resolute faith, and I'd be the doubting Thomas at his side. "Oh, what about this? What about that?" He couldn't stand that about me. He hated that about me. But Pedro, being bold and always jumping into action, even once in a while he admitted he appreciated me being his contrarian voice of reason sometimes. I was with him when he transitioned from crazy hair drummer guy to not so crazy hair husband and father. One cannot deny seeing the change in his life, and I got to see it, and it was real. And some may question the role of religion in today's society, but he was definitely not religious as portrayed in stereotype and media. He discovered a pure and genuine faith. He tapped into and it changed him for the better forever. His email address was Pedro Romero 180. He had that because he acknowledged the 180 turn in his life. As some of you know, that change happened here, and he got married here. He completely fell head over heels in love with Tammy, who came at the right time for him. They met, got married. I was hoping to, go on, Pedro, go for work with your wife. They met and got married in this building. She took the edge off of crazy Pedro and smoothed his rough patches. While he was the pastor, she was the singer. Together they were a walking and talking church. And a perfect fit. Tammy, you know this. He loved you to no end, and it have to find comfort in that. He was just all about you. Pedro loved his kids and wanted to provide for them the life and opportunities he didn't have, and he'd go through a number of personal and financial obstacles for them. He made it a point to say this to me lots of times. He would say, "They don't have to go through what I did, and it ends with me." But he made sure that he ended any past issues in his life. I feel like literally he was holding a shield in front of his children, and he was taking on the arrows head on. He fought for those kids behind the scenes when Vanessa and Pedro were sick for several years of their lives. He fought for their love and honor of his wife. He had to fight for a lot of what was earned or given to him, and he was man enough, at least to me, to admit when it was getting to be a lot, and when it was getting to be a weight on his shoulders, and wondered why he had to fight so much. Turn the phone off. There's no Uncle Freddie character without Pedro the dad. He used to go, "Dad life." He used to say, "Dad life." I don't know. He liked to explain that, both when it was a positive and he was frustrated. He loved all of that stuff. I hope all four of the children know how much he loved them, and what a good family man he was. He was baseball dad, softball dad, chess dad, bill paying dad. And Vanessa, you might remember this, he was Dr. Wolfgang von Glubenschaben. He used to pretend he was like this crazy German doctor to cheer up the kids when they were sick. I hope I got the name right, that's what I remember. While he was everyone's friend, he also kept a very small and intimate circle. He was very fiercely protective of his children and who he allowed into their lives. And I'm honored that I was one of those people. You can see Pedro in all of his children, whether it's Vanessa's entrepreneurial spirit and ability to make anyone her friend, Pedro's compassionate and oversized heart, Victoria's off-the-wall sense of humor and personality, and Ricardo's big tough guy persona and warrior spirit. I want you to look at Ricardo. You know what Pedro looks like. Ricardo's a little blonde, handsome little boy, and he's the most Pedro of all the kids. Little irony in life. Through them, Pedro's never truly gone, and I charge you as the body here to love on them as much as I will moving forward. I was jealous of him a lot. He'd often say, "I don't have everything, but I have everything." You know what I mean? And he had a way of conveying big things into simple statements. I'm at peace knowing I got to say I love you to him the last time I saw him at the house. COVID took that privilege away from his family. I feel like I'm honor bound to help him, to raise them, so they can know what a wonderful father and fighter he was, and at least continue to be a positive influence in their lives. When he wanted to motivate me, when I wanted to give up one time on myself, he would talk me up. He'd be like, "You know, you're gonna be dancing with Vanessa on her wedding day. You're gonna be Pedro's head of security when he's the grandmaster. You're gonna drive us around." And he's like, "We need you. We need Uncle Freddie. I can't do this thing called life without you." He would just say that over. I know this shall pass too, but today I stand here wondering how I'm gonna do this thing called life without him. In his shepherding role, and I'm wrapping up, Pedro was involved in so many other people's lives and kept a busy schedule between running a business, church, raising 4 kids, and Tammy, keeping on Pedro. But usually every morning before I started work, about 8 to 8:30, he'd call me like clockwork to see how I was doing. He had a habit to do this on Saturday mornings too, knowing I'd probably still be in bed. And he'd start his day a couple hours before, and I'm like, "I'm already awake." He's like, "You're still sleeping. Get up." So he always used to, "I know you're in bed. Get up, bro. I love you. You know you have to hear from your mishnuka." And we talk about what we had to do during the day and what the plans were. He recently admitted that he did this on purpose because I needed to hear it. And he wasn't wrong. Regardless of the trials he downplayed in his own life, he made sure to check everyone else's okay. I'll miss those daily morning check-in calls. I'll just close. Pedro, you don't have to carry the burdens of life on your shoulders anymore. For his burden is like, I love you, I was well.